She's beautiful, she's charming, she knows exactly what to say when you're vulnerable, and that is exactly why she's dangerous. The greatest threats in life often wear the sweetest smiles. Not every enemy draws a sword. Some pour wine while plotting your downfall. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." But what if your thoughts are being dyed by someone toxic, someone evil? Most men fall not because they're weak, but because they trusted the wrong woman. Society teaches you to be polite to all women, but the Stoics teach you something deeper. To be vigilant of those who manipulate your reason, poison your peace, and hijack your destiny. Evil doesn't always announce itself. It whispers in comfort, hides behind charm, and thrives in your blind spots. And if you don't learn to see it clearly, you'll pay the price not just in heartbreak but in broken purpose. In this video, you'll discover the 7 Stoic signs that expose the hidden venom behind the mask. Because wisdom isn't just knowing what is good, it's recognizing what's evil. Let's begin. Sign 1. She weaponized your emotions against you. Some women don't need to raise their voice to control you. They just raise your emotions. Not with force, not with logic, but with subtle emotional manipulation that makes you question your own mind. You see, the Stoics taught us that the only true power we possess is over our own thoughts and responses. Epictetus wrote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." But what happens when someone learns to predict your reactions and then shape them to serve their agenda? This is the silent art of emotional warfare, and it's far more dangerous than direct aggression. She doesn't yell. She doesn't fight fair. Instead, she learns your triggers. What makes you angry? What makes you insecure? What breaks your composure? And once she knows where your emotional buttons are, she presses them, not to help you grow, but to keep you under control. Think about it. Has there been a moment where you felt like you were losing control, not because of the situation, but because of how someone made you feel about it? This isn't love, it's strategy, and it's ancient. In Roman history, there are countless examples of powerful men brought to ruin not by swords or armies, but by the quiet influence of manipulative partners. One such man was Mark Antony. A respected Roman general, his downfall was not on the battlefield but in the emotional battlefield created by his obsession with Cleopatra. Historical records show how her charm, beauty, and strategic emotional manipulation pulled him further from reason and deeper into destruction. Seneca warned us, "He who is the slave of his emotions is not his own master." When a woman learns to weaponize your emotions, she doesn't need to attack your goals. She simply shifts your focus away from them. You stop chasing purpose and start chasing her approval. You stop thinking clearly and start reacting desperately. She might say things like, "You don't care about me like you used to. You're so cold lately. Maybe someone else gives me the warmth I need." Or worse, you call yourself a man. Each phrase is designed to puncture your identity, to make you prove yourself by abandoning your stoic calm, your mission, your logic. You'll be tempted to react, and that's exactly the trap. Because once she controls your emotional state, she owns the battlefield of your mind. But here's the Stoic truth. No one can take your peace without your permission. The key is emotional self-governance. You must become so grounded, so anchored in reason and virtue, that no one's manipulation can move you, not even when it comes wrapped in beauty, especially not then. You were not born to be governed by mood swings. You were born to lead with wisdom, clarity, and purpose. So how do you protect yourself from this kind of manipulation? By becoming aware of your emotional patterns, by questioning every emotional surge. Is this true, or is this being planted? By refusing to react in the moment, and instead, responding with intention. Remember, the Stoic man does not suppress emotion, he masters it. And in a world where emotional manipulation is often masked as love, that mastery is your only shield. She may cry, she may flatter, she may provoke, but you must remain immovable, because the man who remains calm in chaos, he is feared, he is respected, he is free. And the moment she realizes she can no longer control your emotions is the moment she loses all power. Sign 2. She rejects accountability, always the victim. The person who cannot take responsibility for their actions is never truly free. They are bound to the lies they tell themselves and others. When a woman consistently avoids accountability and shifts blame, she is not just refusing to grow. She is setting the stage for a life built on excuses, manipulation, and a cycle of deceit. You might have noticed this pattern before. She messes up and yet somehow the blame lands on everyone else. Her bad mood is because of you. Her failures are the fault of the world. Her mistakes? Never her fault. It is always someone or something else to blame. At first you may rationalize it as just a rough patch or an unfortunate series of events. But over time you will realize that this behavior is not a coincidence. It is a strategy. A deeply ingrained pattern of never accepting responsibility for her actions. The Stoics warned us about this kind of behavior. Seneca once wrote, "A man who is not afraid to admit his mistakes is the man who will grow." True growth comes from acknowledging failure, learning from it, and moving forward. But a woman who rejects accountability is forever stuck in a loop of self-pity and external blame. This kind of person never changes because they never face themselves. And without facing the truth, there can be no transformation. A perfect historical example can be found in the story of Cleopatra. She was a master of using others to fulfill her needs, always presenting herself as the victim of the powerful men around her. When things went wrong, she never took responsibility. She would play the role of the helpless woman, the pawn in a game of fate, rather than acknowledging her role in the collapse of those who tried to help her. Her emotional manipulation of Julius Caesar and Mark Antony was legendary. She made them feel like they were the saviors of Egypt, but in reality, she was the one pulling the strings. And when things fell apart, it was never her fault. She was the victim, and it was the world that had betrayed her. The woman who rejects accountability does exactly the same thing. She avoids the discomfort of self-reflection, the pain of admitting her role in a situation. Instead, she casts herself as the victim, allowing you to carry the emotional and psychological weight of her actions. This creates a dynamic where you are constantly defending her, making excuses for her behavior, and justifying her actions to others. In the process, you lose your own power. You stop seeing her as an equal, as a woman capable of growth. Instead, she becomes a child who can never be blamed, who can never be corrected. This is incredibly dangerous because it robs you of your own clarity. When you are constantly forced to view the world through her lens of victimhood, you begin to lose sight of reality. You start questioning your own role in the relationship, wondering if it really was your fault. You start losing trust in your own judgment. The Stoic approach here is crucial. Stoics are not afraid to look inwards and examine their own faults. They understand that only through taking ownership of their mistakes can they move towards true wisdom. Epictetus taught that it's not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. When someone rejects accountability, they distort reality by controlling the narrative. They turn you into the villain, and they wear the mantle of the innocent victim. This leaves you trapped in their distorted world. You will be the one apologizing, the one explaining yourself, the one making all the sacrifices while she remains untouched by the consequences of her actions. The moment you begin to accept this behavior, you begin to lose control of your own life. This is why Stoic wisdom is so powerful in relationships. It encourages clarity, honesty, and the courage to confront the uncomfortable truths about yourself and others. It teaches that real strength lies not in hiding from blame, but in facing it head-on. To break free from a woman who always rejects accountability, you must demand honesty. You must be prepared to face uncomfortable truths. But more importantly, you must be ready to walk away if those truths are never acknowledged. When you stop enabling her refusal to take responsibility, you start reclaiming your own power. You see her not as a helpless victim, but as a person capable of growth if she chooses it. But the moment she refuses to acknowledge her actions, you must accept that she is not willing to grow. The choice is yours. Do you want to remain stuck in a relationship where you are constantly forced to defend the indefensible, to carry the emotional burden that isn't yours to carry? Or do you want to break free, reclaim your emotional autonomy, and demand the same honesty and accountability from her that you expect from yourself? The man who embraces his own responsibility and demands accountability from others is a man who cannot be manipulated. He is free. As you move forward in this relationship, ask yourself this question: is she willing to stand in the mirror and face herself? Or will she continue to play the victim, never growing, never evolving, always pulling you into a drama that never ends? The Stoic path is clear. Seek accountability, embrace truth, and never allow anyone, man or woman, to strip you of your power. Sign 3. Her words are sweet, but her intentions are calculated. There is an art to manipulation, and it's often disguised as kindness. The woman who knows how to manipulate doesn't shout. She speaks softly. She doesn't force her will on you. She coaxes it into existence with honeyed words and gentle persuasion. At first, you think it's harmless, even charming. But behind every kind word lies a hidden agenda, a calculated plan to get what she wants. This is where the Stoics offer us a timeless piece of wisdom. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." What he meant was that we must be careful not to fall prey to the methods of those who seek to control us. The manipulator plays on your emotions and exploits your good nature, all while making you feel as though you are the one in control. You may have experienced this before. She's sweet, she's thoughtful, she knows how to make you feel special. But just beneath that sweet exterior, you begin to feel something isn't right. Her kindness feels too perfect, too well-timed. Her compliments always seem to come just when you need them the most. At first you might think this is love, but what you're witnessing is a well-rehearsed performance. She knows exactly when to praise you and when to show vulnerability. She knows when to give and when to take, and she does it all with the precision of a chess master. What's happening here is not love, it's calculation. Every kind word is a step toward securing her position. She's not giving for the sake of giving. She's giving with the expectation of something in return. She's not interested in a true, mutual connection. She's interested in manipulation, using your emotions as a tool to shape the relationship into something that serves her. This is not a new tactic. Throughout history, powerful women have used their charm, their grace, and their sweetness to gain influence over powerful men. Cleopatra, the Queen of Egypt, was known for this very method. She used her beauty, her charm, and her ability to speak sweetly to both Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, manipulating them into doing her bidding. Cleopatra didn't take power through force or brute strength. She took power by understanding the minds of men and knowing exactly how to speak to their egos. She knew that if she could make them feel desired, admired, and respected, they would do anything to maintain her affection. But it was all part of a calculated move. She was playing a long game, a game in which they were pawns, and she was the queen. The sweet words she used weren't expressions of love, they were tools for power. And this is the danger of falling for the sweetness without questioning the intent behind it. What may seem like affection is often just a means to an end. When her words seem perfect, too perfect, it's time to ask yourself, what does she want from you? What is she hoping to gain? It's easy to mistake kindness for genuine affection, but it's essential to remain vigilant. The Stoic philosopher Seneca warned us, one of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood. But in relationships where manipulation is at play, understanding is not mutual, it is one-sided. You are giving while she is taking. You are open while she is calculating, and you may not even realize it until it's too late. Her words, as sweet as they may seem, are not aimed at bringing you closer to truth or helping you grow. They are aimed at securing control over your thoughts, your actions, and your decisions. She wants to ensure that you stay close enough to feel her affection, but far enough to never realize that you are being used. To protect yourself, you must develop discernment. The Stoics taught us that our emotions and judgments should never be based solely on external appearances. Things are not as they seem, they remind us. When someone speaks to us, we must always ask ourselves, what is their intention? This does not mean you should distrust everyone, but it does mean that you must be aware of when kindness is used as a manipulation tactic. The key is in the balance. Genuine affection is given freely, without strings attached. But when you begin to feel as though everything is contingent upon you giving something in return, you must pause and reflect. In the end, the Stoic path is about clarity of vision. It's about seeing the world as it truly is, not through the lens of your emotions or the projections of others. When you realize that her sweet words are not signs of love, but tools for control, you will be able to stand firm in your integrity and not be swayed by the manipulations of others. The Stoics believed that one of the highest virtues was self-control. You must control your emotions, your desires, and your impulses. And when it comes to relationships, this means not allowing sweet words to cloud your judgment. Learn to look deeper. See the calculation behind the kindness, and never allow yourself to be a pawn in someone else's game. Sign 4. She hates when you grow stronger without her. Growth is the most powerful form of freedom. The more you develop yourself, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, the more you detach from dependencies that once held you captive. And for some women, the idea of you growing stronger without her is a threat, one that she will try to suppress. When a woman sees you becoming more independent, more confident, and more capable on your own, her initial reaction may not be one of pride or support. Instead, she feels threatened, and it becomes clear that your personal growth, your individual strength, challenges the power dynamic she has worked so hard to establish. The Stoics, particularly Seneca, spoke often about the importance of self-sufficiency. Seneca wrote, "True happiness is to be found in the mastery of oneself, not in the approval or support of others." This idea of self-sufficiency and inner strength is the cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. True freedom comes when you can stand alone, free from the need for validation from anyone, including a partner. When you start growing stronger without her, she may try to manipulate you into staying in a position of dependency. Perhaps subtly, perhaps overtly. She may use guilt, jealousy, or fear to keep you from fully embracing your potential. It's not because she loves you more, but because she fears losing control over you. In some cases, this might show up in passive-aggressive behavior. She'll make comments like, "I see how you've changed. You're different now." And when you confront her, she'll brush it off as if it's nothing. But beneath the surface, she's already starting to resent the fact that you are evolving beyond the person you were when you first met. She may even tell you things like, "You're getting too big for your boots." Or she might complain about how your success, your newfound strength, or your emotional growth is making her feel insecure. She will subtly undermine your progress, either by making you feel guilty for growing or by creating a divide between you and your goals. This dynamic can be incredibly insidious. At first, you might rationalize it as a passing phase. Maybe she's just going through something. But over time, it becomes clear that her resistance to your growth is not accidental. It's a deliberate attempt to hold you back. The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom, according to Stoicism, comes from mastering oneself and being able to rise above the external forces that seek to control us. When you start growing stronger without her, you become more independent. You are no longer under her influence, and she senses this. For someone who seeks control, this is the ultimate threat. Think back to historical figures like Marcus Aurelius, a man who achieved great power not through external control, but through inner mastery. His strength lay in his ability to remain steadfast in the face of adversity and distraction. He didn't need others to validate his purpose. His purpose was within him. His growth was self-driven, and anyone who was part of his life had to respect that. When you begin to grow stronger on your own, you no longer rely on her approval, affection, or emotional support to keep moving forward. And this is when the true friction occurs. Her control begins to slip through her fingers. She begins to realize that she can no longer manipulate your emotions or guilt you into submission. The emotional bond she tried to create to keep you dependent on her begins to lose its power. You become autonomous, more confident in your decisions, more capable of standing alone. This is the very thing that can threaten a woman who has spent so much time trying to keep you within her grasp. So how can you protect yourself from this dynamic? The first step is to recognize that growth is a process that cannot be stopped. The moment you stop growing, you stop living. Every day is an opportunity to become a better version of yourself. And that version of yourself is unshackled from anyone who tries to tie you down or hold you back. In relationships, this means you must keep evolving. Never allow someone, no matter how much you care for them, to make you feel guilty for becoming better, stronger, or more independent. The Stoics understood that true love is not possessive. Real love encourages growth. Real love supports individual development. If she resents your growth, then ask yourself this question. Is she truly invested in your happiness, or is she only invested in keeping you close to her own limited view of the world? Does she want to see you flourish for who you are? Or does she want to control you in a way that stunts your potential? This is a crucial test in any relationship. The healthiest relationships are those where both people are free to grow, free to explore their own purpose and goals without fear of the other person's resentment. The woman who supports your growth does not fear your independence. She celebrates it. She encourages it. Because her love for you is rooted in your best self, not in your dependence on her. When you grow stronger without her, it's not a threat to your relationship. It's an invitation for her to grow too. But if she cannot handle that growth, it might be time to ask, is this relationship built on love, or is it built on control? Because real strength is found when both people are free to evolve and become their best selves, together or apart. Sign 5. She is addicted to control, not connection. There are few things more dangerous than someone addicted to control. This addiction doesn't just affect their personal relationships, it seeps into every interaction, every decision, and every moment of their lives. But here's the painful truth. The person addicted to control is never interested in genuine connection. They are only interested in shaping the world to fit their desires, regardless of how it impacts the people around them. The Stoics taught us that true power lies in self-mastery, not in the attempt to dominate others. Epictetus wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." When a person is addicted to control, they are not free. They are enslaved by their need to manipulate and dominate. And this addiction often masks itself as care, concern, or love. But in reality, it is an obsession with power, a power that is derived from keeping you and everyone else under their influence. It might start off small, an innocent attempt to help you make decisions to guide you in the right direction. But before long, it becomes clear that everything is about her. She controls what you eat, how you dress, who you interact with, even how you think. In her mind, she's doing this for your own good. She wants to help you. She wants to be involved in every aspect of your life. But the truth is far darker. She isn't concerned with connection. She's concerned with domination. Let's take a historical example from the life of Catherine de' Medici, the Queen of France. Her life was marked by an intense desire for control. She used manipulation, strategic marriages, and ruthless political maneuvering to maintain power. Despite her role as a queen, her reign wasn't about uniting or connecting her people. It was about consolidating power and ensuring that her influence remained unchallenged. She would do whatever it took to control those around her, even if it meant sacrificing their well-being or lives in the process. The woman addicted to control operates under a similar mindset. She isn't interested in building a partnership based on mutual trust, understanding, and love. She seeks to dominate, to twist and bend you to her will, so she can feel powerful and secure. The connection she offers isn't authentic. It is conditional, based on whether or not you submit to her influence. In a relationship with someone like this, you're constantly under pressure to conform. You feel it in the way she speaks to you, the decisions she makes for you, and the unspoken rules that govern your interactions. There is no room for disagreement, no space for you to grow into your own person. She controls everything from the smallest details to the most important aspects of your life. But here's the thing. The addiction to control is never about love. It's about fear. A person who is addicted to control is terrified of losing it. They fear being vulnerable, they fear being open, because true connection requires both people to be equally invested. The controlling woman sees vulnerability as a weakness, and the idea of an equal partnership terrifies her. If she lets go of control, she fears she will lose herself, lose her grip on power, or even lose you. The Stoics warned us against allowing fear to govern our actions. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, understood that fear was the enemy of peace. He wrote, "The best way to avenge yourself is to not be like that." In other words, don't fall into the trap of fear-driven control. Don't let your insecurities dictate your actions. The controlling woman, however, cannot let go of that fear. It consumes her. She must control, manipulate, and dominate to keep that fear at bay. Over time, the toll of this control becomes apparent. You may feel suffocated. The once promising connection between you both begins to feel like a prison. You are not allowed to think for yourself, to make your own decisions, or to pursue your own goals without her constant interference. This isn't love, this is coercion. She wants you to feel like you need her, that you cannot function without her. She thrives on this dependency because it feeds her addiction to control. But it's important to remember, true connection requires freedom. It requires both people to be able to express themselves without fear of retribution. The relationship should be based on mutual respect and understanding, not on manipulation and domination. The Stoics remind us that we must seek out the relationships that allow us to flourish, the relationships that empower us to become the best version of ourselves, not the ones that trap us in fear and submission. You cannot build a life of peace and purpose if you are constantly being manipulated by someone addicted to control. If you find yourself in a relationship where the other person is addicted to control, ask yourself, does she support my growth? Does she encourage me to become the best version of myself? Or does she demand that I stay small so she can feel powerful? Does she want a true connection, or is she just using me as a pawn in her quest for dominance? The Stoic approach here is clear. Freedom is the foundation of all growth, and in a relationship, this freedom is non-negotiable. If someone cannot respect your autonomy, your growth, and your need for independence, then they are not offering you a connection. They are offering you a cage. And the only way to escape is to break free from their control. The addiction to control can never be satisfied. It will consume both of you, slowly draining the life from the relationship. The only way to protect yourself is to step back, reclaim your personal power, and demand that you are treated as an equal, not as someone to be controlled. Sign 6. She disrespects what you value most. There are few things more destructive to a relationship than the systematic disrespect of what you hold most dear. When someone consistently undermines, belittles, or disregards the things that you value, whether it's your time, your beliefs, your ambitions, or your principles, they are not just challenging your choices, they are attacking your core. And the true danger lies in the fact that this disrespect is often subtle, creeping into your life under the guise of care, concern, or love. At first you might dismiss it. After all, who hasn't disagreed with their partner over something? A difference in opinion is natural, right? But when the pattern of disrespect becomes a habit, when the small jabs at what you care about slowly become larger insults or dismissals, you begin to see that this is not about disagreement, it's about disregard. She doesn't respect what you value. And the deeper question is, why? The Stoics were masters of understanding the importance of values and principles. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." In other words, it's not enough to speak about the things you hold dear, you must live them. And when someone disrespects your values, they are undermining not just your ideas, but who you are at your core. They are denying your very right to live authentically. When someone belittles what you value most, they are not just challenging your thoughts, they are challenging your identity. If you value hard work, but she constantly mocks or undermines your ambitions, she is telling you that what you strive for doesn't matter. If you value honesty, but she manipulates or deceives you, she is showing you that your values are not worthy of respect. And this is not just a minor issue, it's a red flag that cannot be ignored. Let's take a look at a historical example. Seneca, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, believed in living by the highest moral principles, even in the face of adversity. He valued truth, wisdom, and self-control above all else. But imagine a relationship in which his partner continuously mocked his philosophical beliefs, disregarded his quest for wisdom, and sought to distract him from his purpose. Would he have tolerated such disrespect? Absolutely not. He understood that what we value defines us, and those who do not respect that do not deserve a place in our lives. But what happens when this disrespect comes from someone you care about? From someone who should theoretically understand you better than anyone else? At first you might try to rationalize it. She's just joking, you might tell yourself. Or, it's not that big of a deal. But this is the mistake we often make. We dismiss the small moments of disrespect, thinking they will fade. The truth is, every time someone dismisses your values, they are planting a seed of doubt in your mind, a seed that over time grows into resentment and bitterness. Take a moment to reflect on what you truly value. It could be integrity, loyalty, or a specific goal you've set for yourself. Now think about how often she has either ignored or actively disrespected those values. Perhaps she dismisses your goals as unrealistic, or belittles your ambition to achieve something greater. Perhaps she undermines your principles with actions that directly conflict with your beliefs, like dishonesty or selfishness. Each instance chips away at your sense of self-worth. It forces you to question whether your values truly matter to you, or if they're simply something you can sacrifice for the sake of harmony or approval. In the Stoic mindset, living in accordance with one's values is the foundation of happiness and fulfillment. To betray what you value is to betray yourself. The Stoics understood that values are not negotiable. They are not something to be compromised for convenience or comfort. When you allow someone to disrespect what you value, you are teaching them that your integrity and principles are negotiable, and that's a dangerous lesson. When a partner repeatedly disrespects what you hold most dear, it signals a fundamental disconnect. She does not understand or appreciate the essence of who you are. And it may be that she cannot understand it because she has no concept of living with the same integrity or principles. Perhaps she values something entirely different: power, control, superficial things, and so your values are simply irrelevant to her. Or worse, they challenge her own insecurities. But what must you do in this situation? The Stoic response is clear. Do not compromise your values for anyone. Your principles should never be up for negotiation. If you allow others to disrespect what you care about, you allow them to chip away at the foundation of who you are. The Stoics would advise you to distance yourself from those who undermine your core beliefs, for their influence is toxic to your growth and well-being. The key here is to set boundaries and communicate the importance of your values clearly. If she cannot respect them, then she cannot respect you. And no relationship, romantic or otherwise, can thrive on the foundation of disrespect. To protect your peace and your integrity, you must first recognize the importance of your values and then guard them fiercely. If someone continually disrespects what you hold most dear, do not allow it to continue. Be clear, be firm, and most importantly, be true to yourself. Because a relationship that does not honor who you are at your core will only hold you back from becoming the person you are meant to be. In the end, the Stoic path leads us to the truth that our values define us, and anyone who does not respect them is not someone worthy of our time, energy, or trust. Stand firm in your convictions. Do not compromise your integrity, even for love. True love will honor, cherish, and support what you hold most dear, not disrespect it. Sign 7. She thrives in chaos and fears your inner peace. There is a certain kind of person who is addicted to chaos, who thrives in the midst of confusion, drama, and conflict. For them, peace feels like a threat, not a blessing. They are uncomfortable with stillness, because in stillness, they are forced to confront the truth of their own lives. And if you are someone who has worked to cultivate inner peace, someone who has learned the art of stillness and emotional control, then your calmness is a direct challenge to their worldview. The person who thrives in chaos is often someone who fears peace, because peace exposes their insecurity. If everything around them is in turmoil, if there is constant movement and noise, then they don't have to look inward. They don't have to face the uncomfortable truths that peace often brings to the surface. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius often meditated on the importance of inner peace, writing, "Peace is the calm acceptance of what comes, the quiet readiness for what happens." But for someone addicted to chaos, this concept is deeply unsettling. Imagine a person whose life is a never-ending whirlwind of problems, dramas, and crises. Everything is a crisis and everything is urgent. She constantly creates conflicts, whether in her personal relationships or with the world around her. In these moments of chaos, she feels alive, like she has control, like she's holding on to something. But when peace enters the picture, it feels like she's losing control. It's in these quiet moments that she feels the deepest fear, the fear of confronting herself. For you, however, peace is a way of life. You have learned to master your emotions, to center yourself amidst the storms of life. You have come to understand that true strength lies in your ability to remain calm, no matter what external chaos may be happening around you. Your inner peace becomes a form of freedom that is impossible to take away. You are no longer at the mercy of external circumstances, because you have learned to control your internal world. But this internal peace threatens her. If you remain calm in the face of conflict, if you can face difficult situations without being rattled, then it exposes the fragility of her own coping mechanisms. It shows her that she is not the one in control, that you are. This can create a deep sense of resentment. She may find herself jealous of your inner peace, because in your tranquility she sees her own weakness. The Stoic philosophers were masters of cultivating this kind of peace. Epictetus, in particular, taught the idea that external events are beyond our control, but we have the power to control our reactions to them. This idea was revolutionary in the ancient world, and it's still revolutionary today. When you are able to respond to life's difficulties with composure and grace, you gain a power that few can understand. To the person addicted to chaos, this power is intimidating, even terrifying. But why does someone addicted to chaos fear your inner peace? It comes down to control.
Chaos gives them something to hold on to, something to react to.
It provides them with the illusion of control. When everything is in turmoil, they are the ones calling the shots, even if it's just creating problems to solve. But when you possess peace, you disrupt this cycle. You don't need their chaos. You don't need their problems to keep you engaged. You're content with yourself. You no longer rely on her to create drama or tension to feel alive. This is where the real conflict arises. Your peace becomes a reflection of what she lacks. And because she is not willing to confront her own fears, her own weaknesses, she resents your calmness. She may try to stir the pot, inject conflict into your life, or make you feel guilty for not engaging with the drama she creates. But every time you remain calm, every time you refuse to engage with the chaos, you expose the fact that she is choosing to live in turmoil. We see this dynamic play out throughout history. Take Cleopatra, for example. Though she was a powerful queen, her life was marked by political instability and personal drama. She needed chaos to maintain her grip on power, and when things settled down, she felt exposed, vulnerable. She thrived in the tension of conflict because it allowed her to assert control. But when there was peace, she was forced to confront her own limitations. People who are addicted to chaos often find themselves in positions of power, but their power is fragile because it is built on instability. Your inner peace, your steadiness, reminds them of this fragility. In a relationship with someone who thrives in chaos, you may find yourself constantly being dragged into unnecessary arguments, excessive drama, or emotional turbulence. They'll create problems out of nothing, just to keep you on your toes. But your inner peace becomes a weapon that disarms their chaos. The more you remain unshaken, the more you force them to confront the truth of their own emotional volatility. So how do you protect yourself from this dynamic? The key is to stay grounded. Do not allow her need for chaos to pull you into her storm. In fact, the more peaceful you are, the more you will see how little she is able to cope with stillness. Your peace is your strength. It's your shield against the chaos she brings. And the more you cultivate it, the more you protect your emotional well-being. The Stoics understood that true strength lies in maintaining calmness and composure in the face of adversity. Your peace is not a weakness, it is a reflection of your mastery over yourself. By refusing to engage with the chaos, you set an example of what true strength looks like. And over time, this peace will be both a protection and a powerful force that others cannot ignore. In the end, never let someone's addiction to chaos rob you of your inner peace. Stand firm in your tranquility, because it is in stillness that you will find your true power. As we've explored, the signs of an evil woman who undermines your peace are not always obvious, but when you recognize them, it's crucial to take action. The chaos, the manipulation, the disregard for your values. These are the weapons of someone who fears your strength and inner peace. And just like the Stoics taught us, your peace is your greatest power. It is not something to be compromised for the comfort or approval of others. If you allow chaos to rule your life, you allow others to define you. But if you stand firm in your calmness and clarity, you become unshakable. Remember the words of Marcus Aurelius: the tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do. Only what you do. Your peace is your foundation, your shield against the chaos of this world, and those who fear it will try to tear it down. But it's in those moments of testing that you must remain steady, grounded, and true to yourself.
Now, I want to hear from you.
Have you ever encountered someone who thrived in chaos and feared your inner peace? How did you deal with it? Let's dive into the discussion in the comments below. Stay true to yourself, stay calm, and remember, your peace is your power.